Hey everybody, Resident Loser Jeremy here. I feel like I rarely get to write for myself, and everything going on in the world right now, there's a little bit of time to work in between getting notes from clients that you're waiting on, but I'm getting to work on some of my own music, and it's coming out in some interesting forms. I think just because of all the pent-up aggression and frustration with what's happening in the world right now. I'm recording for myself, and I wanted to talk about the process, because I can get caught up in the weeds. I can concentrate way too much on a tone, and then forget a part. I set something up early, basically a template for myself. The creative process only works if it's efficient. And you've heard me say in past videos, keep it simple. This is keeping it crazy simple. Behind me, I've got the drum set here. Guitars, it's a rabbit hole, but all in all, guitars are simple. It's an amp, a cab, and a mic. So much of the tone is in your hands and your strings. What did I do on the drums? Just sending this out as an idea to people. I didn't expect them to say, hey, those drum tones are fire. Really didn't expect that. I wanted to talk about what I did and what I didn't do that kind of led to that. I was using my house kit. It's a Ludwig Classic Maple. It's a 24x14 kick drum, a 9x13 rack tom, a 16x16 floor tom. I'm using all of Meinl, Mike Johnston's, but man, they just sit in the mix so well. The snare I'm using is the Mapex Wraith. Pretty affordable snare if you can pick it up on the used market. Sounds great. It's actually super versatile. Pretty simple on this. I imagine some people are going to be like, that's way too many microphones to worry about, but really there's not a whole lot going on. For snare, I just have one Beta 57, and it's only because I wanted to play around with triggering later, so I wanted to reject as much of the hi-hat as possible, and the Beta mics have kind of a more interesting pattern that you can use to your benefit, but that actually turned out to be one of the coolest snare sounds I've ever gotten. On the template, I'm actually using my snare gate trick. Check it out, I'll post it up here. And that's helping me kind of isolate the snare even more, although it would be fine even without that trick. Although in most DAWs, you can easily get away with this trick using your stock plugins folder. Hi-hats in SM81, and I have KSM32s on the toms, both the rack and the floor, and then I have an 88R88 stereo mic, only because I didn't want to worry about measuring while I was doing this. Just slap it up, make sure the kick and the snare are relatively down the middle, and you're done. I tossed up a ribbon mic on a stand behind the kit, put it up equal with my overheads, and I'm using that to kind of like crush the drum kit a little bit and give some nasty flavor. And then I've also got a room mic probably 25 yards away from the kit in a completely separate room, down a hallway, around a corner, big tall ceilings, vaulted ceilings, tile floor, real echoey, sounds terrible in there, but really cool for drums. And that's providing most of our room tone. So anyway, guys, I just wanted to... What are you doing here? You always talk about hating drum samples. I have nothing against... You do. You always talk about it. No, I'm fine with drum samples. I've said that in multiple videos. Oh, you flaunt this drum kit all in front of these people. Look, if you have the ability to record a drum set and you have stuff, you may as well know how to get the best. No, you're always talking about... I make drum samples. I sell drum samples. I use drum samples. Sure, yeah, when the camera's off, maybe. Just because I have a recording studio. Look, you gotta do what's right for the project. Oh, okay? You're such a purist, aren't you? Just simple as that. It's what's right for the song. No, that's what I'm... But when I find something cool, I'm gonna share it. I'm sure you will. You'll turn that camera on for me. Whatever. Make some call. Anyway. I have nothing against drum samples. I don't feel like you should be leaning on 100% drum samples or virtual instruments, and I don't feel like you should be leaning 100% on natural drum kits. Sure. If you do either one of those, you're boxing yourself into... Yeah, I imagine you're boxing yourself. Yeah, I'm explaining. Just look, I'm just trying to... If you do either one of those, you're boxing yourself into... You're putting yourself into... If you do either one of those things... Way to talk, buddy. Thanks. Yeah, I'm gonna go make some coffee. If you do either one of those things, you're really putting yourself in a box, and it's going to inform decisions and give you a bias down the road. This isn't to say that you have to use natural drum tones. This is just something like, hey, I did something cool, so here you go. You went and made me coffee. You can stick around, I guess. So I wanted to talk about this process I have for songwriting now, because a lot of the hurdles, I'm in the studio every day. I can go down the rabbit hole because I like the process of recording, and sometimes the process can kind of blind me to what should be the creative side of this and having fun writing music. And I think that's why I don't do it more. So I wanted to make a template for myself. I'm not going to share it because it's not going to make sense for you. You have to come up with your own, and it totally depends on your setup. Making this template, my goal was, one, to have as mix ready a sound as I possibly could while I'm recording, and two, to have it at a low enough hardware buffer that I could play into it with no latency, and I could switch from guitar to keys to drums to bass, whatever that was, very, very quickly and very efficiently through the use of this template. And I feel like I accomplished. So let me share with you what I have here, and I'm just gonna play the song. If you want to go ahead and skip the song, I'm gonna have a timestamp right here. You can go here, just skip that, and then see what I did for the mix. Here we go. All right, there you go. So that was the song. I think for me, that came from a very frustrating part of everything going on, and writing process can be very cathartic and good for mind, good for your hands to keep everything practiced. So that kind of came out of this, and I feel like that aggression comes through, and I just wanted to kind of show you guys what I have going on. Now, I clicked through a lot of the plugins while it was playing, so if you missed that, go back and you can kind of see and screenshot things I did if you want to. The kick, I'm not good enough to play all these drums and the kick by myself. I'm not a drummer. I played the hands, so it sounded like everything without the kick drum. Blast beat's kind of boring without the kick, so I actually went back and programmed the kick just playing on my keyboard. So those two things together definitely a totally different experience. And that's because I know my limitations. I'm not good enough to play all of the drums. So that's part of my setup, but I wanted as many real drums as possible, and this is what I can get away with. As far as drums, I'm using all real drums, and obviously the kick is just open here because I wanted the bleed of a real kit. So I've got a couple things going on here. I have Decapitator set up on a parallel aux. Just kind of provides some attitude. And then the big one, which is the parallel compression, I have kind of a DBX 160. This is Native Instruments version of it. I think it sounds fantastic. So I have that going through, and then just kind of brings out the life in the snare for me and the kick a little bit. And then onto the rooms, which without the rooms sounds awful. So I have three different things going on there. I have my drum rooms, which is very, very far away in a vestibule from the drum set. And then I have just a regular old drum room on Revibe. Love that sound. And then just Verbiage, which has the Nolly preset. Just watch one of his videos. He loves this plugin. I love it too. It has that interesting little trashy snare thing. It's not really something that registers with you as you're hearing the drum kit, but if it's gone, you definitely miss that feeling that it gives it in a kind of a weird, disgusting room. So moving on, the whole thing started from this keyboard here, which I was just kind of messing around with the Phrygian scale and kind of came up with this little theme. But the cool thing about this sound, it's just a keyboard, and then I have this weird little pad phaser on it. So if I get rid of this, it just sounds like a keyboard again. Definitely boring. So I wanted to make something you couldn't really tell what it was. EQ's just taming some of these things. I had a limiter on. Looks like I got rid of it, so let's trash it. What else do we have here? So I've got this weird little synthy sound. I put stutter edit on, solo the MIDI with it. You kind of get it just adds an interesting pattern, an interesting movement. And pairing that back with the keys, it kind of adds all of the texture and background to the song. Definitely boring without all that movement in it. Now for the good stuff, the guitars. So the guitars were actually, I didn't know exactly what I wanted. I recorded DI. So just a 6-string, it's tuned to F sharp, I know. And I put ML Sound Labs Super Duper on here. It sounds fantastic. And that's what I wrote to. But I went back and reamped that. I have my little reamp send right here. And that went to my Archon, and that got reamped into this. But you can probably see some of these ghosts, like the lead ones, I still have the Super Duper on there with like a weird reverb because it sounded good. Why not keep it? Don't have to reamp everything. I'm not going to. But I really wanted those rhythms reamped, especially to separate them from everything else going on. And the bass was just one of those rhythms run through Easy Bass. Super easy. Easy Bass. There you go. Nothing special going on with the routing. Everything is going to the mains except for like the 2 snares that I have going to a snare folder track here. And I'm just doing my snare gate trick. You can check that out. I'll link that. And on all the drums, I have this Billy Decker drums plugin. I love it. It is super cool. Adds a whole lot, and it's not CPU intensive whatsoever. So now you can definitely hear I'm not a perfect player, but this was a very good method to get my ideas out and hear it kind of as a mix, because that's what's inspiring when things sound good. So this was kind of my method around it. Just find those plugins if you want to do this with plugins. Find those plugins that don't hog your CPU, that you can keep your buffer super low, but maintain all the phase relationships, because that's a huge part of this, that you can play to it, you can feel it, and then you can go back and kind of refine everything that you need to, but keeping it very, very simple. And I feel like I didn't have to lose anything. I mean, my normal drum tracks have way more mics than this when I'm working with other people, and sometimes those mixes are being handled by other people, so I mic things with a lot of different options so they have options later. And I fall into that too, wanting to have options later, but just going with what you need. I feel like I got a really good drum sound that sits in the mix just super well. Love it. And I'd be lying if I didn't say that snare definitely surprised me. Not even using a snare bottom on this, I was kind of shocked, especially for just throwing it up. But that's just a testament to tune your snare, and you could be really shocked with what you can get out of it. Because to me, that sounds like a sample. But it sounds super good in this mix. For a songwriting template, that is not bad. But hey, if you guys want the drum samples here,
Obviously not the kick. It's not mine. Let me know if you want that snare. I could easily get it out, maybe $5 or something. Let me know if you guys would even buy that. I'll go ahead and do it. But anyway, guys, go out there, write some songs, have some fun, but don't let your tone suck. All right. Anyway, Resident Loser Jeremy here. Take it easy, guys.